Thrill Seekers, and that was a bit of a song called The Ghost in You by the Psychedelic Furs, and my version is somewhat based vaguely on the version Robin Hitchcock plays in his shows, but it's also my own version. And I should have paired that with a video about the Zen concept of what the soul is and why it's not a ghost in you, but I didn't think of that until it was too late, so this is a total different video. So the title of this video, as you have seen, I haven't actually put it up yet as I'm talking, but I'm going to put it up. It will be something like Patients, Customers, and Zen Students. And I am working on a book regarding my own experience of Zen in America and also in Japan, and watching how what Zen has become and what Buddhism in general has become in America. Not just Zen Buddhism, but I know Zen Buddhism better than the rest. And one of the things that's happened to me since I've been a famous Zen author, I've written 10 books. Some people think I've only written one book, but I've written 10 books about Zen, or 11 if you count the one I co-authored with Nishijima Roshi. So there's a bunch of books out there that I've written about Zen. And what this has done is it's gotten me invited to speak at a number of places and see what these places are like. I made a point of it early on in my career, of when I was invited to these places, of trying to arrive a few days before, sometimes even a week before I was scheduled to give a talk or something, just so I could get a sense of what this place was and what they were doing. Unfortunately, I'm not a good note taker, and I didn't keep extensive, diaries of my travels. I kept a little, but not much. But I saw a lot of things, and one of the things I saw was there is a tendency in American Zen, and probably in Buddhism in general, to kind of treat students as either patients or customers. And I'm kind of spitballing this because I haven't actually committed any of this to writing. Did I say that? This is the third take of this video, so I've forgotten what I've said in this take as opposed to what I said in the other version. But I think I said that I'm writing a book about my travels in America and seeing what Zen is like and all this. My memory's shot. Anyway, so seeing this happen, and I haven't written about it, so I'm just sort of spitballing right now. What I've noticed is that a lot of people who get into the Zen game in America are trained psychologists and trained psychiatrists. This isn't everybody, of course, but there's a significant number of Zen teachers who are trained psychologists, trained psychiatrists, and then got into Zen, or maybe simultaneously studied both or whatever, but they're trying to combine Zen and psychology. The other sort of people I've seen who run centers are kind of entrepreneurs. Now, they probably, in the cases of the people I've met personally, I don't think I've met anybody personally who started out running a Zen center because they wanted it to be a business and they wanted to make money from it. There are people like that, but I can't think of any I've encountered in person. But I think what happens, and this is based on my own experience of trying to run a Zen center and failing in Los Angeles, is that you have to become an entrepreneur. So what happens is you end up with a lot of Zen teachers who treat their students as patients. And then these are the psychologists, psychiatrists, and then you run into this other group of people who treat their Zen students as customers, because you kind of have to. And I want to address that a little bit, because that model is very prevalent in American Zen, especially the patient model. So let's take that one first, and I don't know if I'm even going to get to the customer model. The patient model sees the Zen student as a different sort of psychiatric patient, like a kind of different species, slightly different species of psychiatric patient. And they want to have all of the things in place that psychiatrists have in place for how to teach, how to deal with their students. There's certain boundaries you have to set up, and there's certain things that the teacher has to do, and there's organizations out there that want to create a set of rules that Zen teachers have to abide by in order to be part of these organizations, which is why I haven't joined any of these organizations, because they already exist, and I haven't signed up to be in any of them, and I don't have any intention to, because I don't really think that's the way to do it. So before I I get into my harsh criticism, which I don't know if I'm even going to get into, of treating Zen students as patients, I want to tell you what I think of it. The way I think of the Zen teacher-student relationship is something like this. The Zen teacher is sort of like Indiana Jones, and he's gonna set off on this adventure to go to the darkest reaches of Africa or wherever and get the jewel and bring it back home, or whatever he's gonna do. He's gonna do this thing that's dangerous, that he's very serious about, and that he might be able to use some help on this trip, but he knows that it's not the kind of thing that he wants to get a lot of people involved in, and he's not exactly inviting people to participate in this. He basically wants to go by himself and go get that damn jewel in the Zaire or wherever it is, the Congo. I think, when I was in Africa, when I lived in Africa, it was called Zaire, but it had been called Congo before, and now I think it's back to being called the Congo again, which always confuses me. Anyway, that's a big country in Central Africa. So, you're going off on there, and then some little kid comes along, and he's like, hey, Indiana Jones, I want to come with you on your adventure. And Indiana Jones is like, Go away, kid, you bother me. But Indiana Jones, I want to go in Africa with you. No, you're just going to slow me down, kid. Just get away from me. But Indiana Jones, I can help. Well, if you're going to come along, you gotta pull your weight. I'm not going to coddle you. I'm not going to treat you like a patient. You're gonna have to pull your own weight. You're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to help out in this adventure. And if you get in trouble, look, there's gonna be poisonous snakes and poisonous giant spiders and a rock rolling down that's gonna try to crush you, and there's gonna be cannibals and all this stuff. Oh, Indiana Jones, I still want to go. It's gonna be a great adventure. All right, kid, you can come along, but the minute you slow me down, I'm cutting you loose. That's my attitude towards it. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit, but my attitude towards this is that the Zen teacher is doing this basically for himself, or herself, but I'll say himself because I'm kind of using myself as an example. But he's doing this for himself. And he's on this thing, and he's serious about it, and he has some idea of the dangers involved. Now, there aren't a lot of physical dangers. There's probably no cannibals and giant spiders and big rocks rolling down. So there's not a lot of physical danger involved. It's mostly just sitting still in a room. But there's a lot of psychological stuff that'll come up. And the Zen teacher knows this, and knows that part of the territory is things get rough and things get weird. And it's going to get rough and it's going to get weird for the student too. And the student has to be prepared for that. And that's just the way it goes. Actually, I just watched a really great video on one of the aspects of this, and it is by my friend Shozan Jack Haubner, and it is on his YouTube channel called Zen Confidential. And if I can find it, I will leave the title of the video here, and then I'll put a link down in the description in YouTube and in Patreon, so you can go directly to the video. But it talks, Shozan talks a lot about one of the aspects of how this manifests. And it's a dangerous game, and it's something, it's like being an apprentice. Imagine being an apprentice to a guy who makes fireworks. How about that? Ziggy hates fireworks. Ziggy's sitting here beside me. Anyway, and so there's danger. You might get your hand blown off or something. And if you want to be the apprentice to the guy who makes fireworks, you're signing up for, you might get your hand blown off. It's not going to be something easier. But what the people who see Zen or see Buddhist practice, it's usually Zen that they go into, as a kind of weird off-brand of psychology or psychiatry. They don't like that idea, and they have become very powerful in American Buddhism and shaping how American Buddhism is developing. Is this branch who sees the Buddhist student as a patient. And I ran into one of these and it is preserved for eternity in a movie called Brad Warner's Hardcore Zen, which is a movie my friend Piruz Kalea made about me and my life a few years ago. And there's things I would do over again in that movie, but one of the interesting things that comes out right in the beginning of the movie is, I don't know how I got invited to this place, but I got invited to speak in New York City at one of these Zen centers that was run by a psychiatrist turned Zen teacher. And I don't know what the deal was with this place. It was I felt almost like it was a setup. Like these people hated me and they wanted me to come in and speak to their Zen center so that they could just, pile on me or something. Because it got very tense in there. And one of the things, I don't know who this person was. She seemed to be a higher up in the hierarchy of this place. And maybe she was a teacher herself, but she started talking about, she was objecting to some of the things I said, and said that she felt that the job of the Zen teacher was to hold the student wisely. And I'm like, I just felt so icky hearing that. And it kind of made me mad, because I'm like, I do not feel that way at all. I do not feel that my job as a Zen teacher is to hold the student wisely, and to take their hand and take them on this journey and show them all the beauty that they have inside, or whatever it's supposed to be, and to help heal them and heal their trauma and all this stuff that a psychologist is. And I don't feel like the student is my patient, and I don't ever want to feel that the student is my patient, and I won't treat students like patients. Is one of the reasons I don't have students, is because people generally want to be treated like patients or like customers, and I encountered that so often that I just got fed up with it. I really got fed up with it. I don't know if I'll ever bounce back into the game of trying to run a Zen center again, but I kept running into these people who wanted to be my patient or my customer, and the customer is like, the customer is always right, so they feel like they can demand how things go, and it should be like this, it should be like that. Now I want to be taught this thing and that thing, or the people who want to be patients, and they want to kind of go, I can't really. If I try to write this in a book, it's going to be hard, but I feel like what I get with people like that is they're just kind of, they just want to go limp and go, help me, I can't do anything for myself, blah, with drool coming out of their mouth and going, I'm such a mess, help me hey, fix me. And I'm not, I have no interest in fixing people. I have no interest in healing their trauma or anything like that. What I'm interested in is finding the deepest truth of the universe, if that is possible, in this lifetime, and understanding it, and just kind of, I'm there to find the jewel in Zaire, in the middle of the cave, guarded by the spiders and the cannibals and everything else. And I know that it's going to be tough to do that, but that's the thing I'm interested in. And I don't want somebody hanging on me while I'm doing that, going, help me, make me feel better about my relationship with my daddy, who you're going to be a substitute for. Don't want. I'm just, no, go away, go somewhere else, go to New York and talk to that guy, because there's a guy in New York who'd love to have you be his patient, but that's not me. I'm not going to do it. So I feel that one of the things that's going on in American Zen Buddhism specifically, maybe in Buddhism in general, because there's, as people seem to not know, there's a lot of forms of Buddhism other than Zen. And anyway, is that patient model is kind of taking over, and the customer model is kind of taking over. The customer model, as I think I said, like I said, I did 3 takes of this and I don't know what I've said. The customer model happens if you start a Zen center that even if it's a not-for-profit Zen center, you have to get butts in seats. You have to get people to come every week, and this is just it just the only way to keep the lights on and to keep paying the bills and to keep making the place run is if you get people who are in there constantly making donations. And then you get that customer model, which I've seen at Tassajara and San Francisco Zen Center and Upaya and places like that, where they treat the people who come there as customers, and the customer is always right. I remember having this discussion with somebody, I'll try to avoid naming where the place was, about dealing with rich people, and it was one of the things you gotta do, he was saying, when you're running a place like this, is you gotta deal with rich people, and rich people are strange, and rich people want certain things, and they want something, these donations that you get always come with strings, even if the person who's donating says there's no strings in this donation. Yeah, there are. I remember Koben Chino, my first teacher had been a student of Koben Chino, and one of his big donors was Steve Jobs, the founder of Macintosh. The very computer I'm using to talk to you on was probably invented by Steve Jobs, or somebody who worked for Steve Jobs. And what he had heard from Koben is that Steve Jobs wanted some kind of exchange for his support of Koben, and that he wanted Koben to be his pet Zen master, and that this rankled Koben. I'm just saying what I've heard third hand, so don't shoot me if you've heard something different. But that's kind of what happens. You're dealing with these rich people who want to be treated like customers. Like, I'm paying for this, and I should get what I want if I pay for it. And so you get that that sort of attitude, and then these centers will start doing that. They will start trying to give the customers what they paid for, and start listening. We're going to listen to our customers, and they're going to tell us what we want. And look, Indiana Jones on the quest for the jewel in the heart of Zaire, in the middle of the cave guarded by the giant spiders and the big rock that rolls down the tunnel and all this other crap. He can't deal with customers. He's not a tour guide. He's not gonna tour guide you into the deepest, darkest tunnel in Zaire and make sure you're safe from the big rock and take responsibility for the big rock, and he's going to get sued by all his customers if the big rock rolls over him. That's not going to work. It's never going to work. And this is why I feel like you just can't do Zen that way. You can't do Buddhism that way. You can't do Buddhism if you're treating your students as customers, or if you're treating them as patients. It's just not Zen. I mean, maybe it's something useful in some way. You might be able to get some kind of useful something out of that. I don't really know, but it's not going to be Zen. The thing with these models is the Zen stuff, in every case I've seen, becomes subservient to the other thing. So I kind of feel, and it's hard to just say this, it's hard to kind of make this, well, and I'm just going to say it. I kind of feel like the psychologists turned Zen masters that I've met, for them, the Zen is like subservient to the psychology. The psychology is the real thing because it's supported by science, and we know that psychology is real and solid. And this other sort of ancient Indian, Chinese, Japanese kind of almost psychology might have some insights we can use in order to serve the psychology. That's kind of the attitude. And then the customer thing, it's because of the necessities of how the businesses are run, how your big giant Zen centers and things are run. The customer is always right, so the customer model becomes subservient to the actual Zen. So in both models, the Zen training cannot happen because you're not allowing it to happen. So I've killed my Indiana Jones metaphor already, so I'll stop it with that. But there's an Indiana Jones metaphor to be had there too. Okay, so that's it, and I'm going to start writing up this thing, and I'll use the transcript of this to see if I can use it to to make something out of. But anyway, good luck to me on that book. I don't know. It's chugging along slow right now. So I'm a million miles away from finishing. So don't even ask me when it's coming out. But if you want to donate to me and help me out and live while this book is being worked on, you can go to the to the links that are below in the YouTube video. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's links right below here in the God, I've forgotten what it's called now. I did this yesterday too. The thingy, the thingy that the description video below the video, damn it. Okay, or if you don't like to do that, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen right by my chin, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you can also find my PayPal and Patreon links, and those are how I make my living. So I appreciate your support, but as always, you don't got to support me if you don't want to support me. Okay, we will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Ziggy, how you doing? Do you feel like you're my pet? Or my patient? Or my customer? Yeah, you're always right, Ziggy. I always do what you tell me to. Alright, let's go inside. You want to go inside and edit the video? Ziggy? You want to go inside and edit the video? Yeah, we'll go inside and edit the video, okay? See you later, Ziggs.